Hey guys, here we've made it to week 5, so it's gone really, really fast. But you guys have done all kinds of just amazing, tremendous work, and I haven't done a video myself in a while, so I figured I would go ahead and post one. Although you guys are such a good group, I don't feel like there's a whole lot I have to remind you of or cover. Although, I mean, there's tons of other stuff I could give you just from an information perspective, but I don't want to overwhelm you with that because it's a lot for you guys just to look at what you've been gathering. But I'd certainly be glad to have further conversations with any of you on the topic. Anytime this week or anytime thereafter. Just let me know because I certainly enjoy talking about the research. Just a couple of as Ethan said, he made some notes and was showing us his notes. I do this all the time when I do these videos. If I didn't, I'd forget 98% of what I was gonna say. Actually, it was Ethan, I think, that said he was going to probably include some stuff when we have the interview with Dr. Moronis on Thursday. And of course, you certainly want to do that. I mean, that's what these projects are all about. Putting in info from all the information we've gathered. You guys should feel free to refer to each other. Feel free to, talk about similar concepts. You can reference each other. Like I might say, Timothy Watson, his project title, blah, 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 points out that the use of blah, blah, blah is the greatest thing to ever happen to the wall, blah, blah, blah. You guys are doing research. You guys are scholars. So talk about each other's work. We're not doing your typical research paper where you're just, writing down what you've read from other, secondary sources or other primary research that people have done. So, this is, the conclusion. Don't think of the conclusion as it's not a research report. It's not a research paper. Really look at how did, Greece put together her conclusion. She talked about the main points she had, kind of, gave us a summary of what she did, and then talked about how important that was in terms of how new materialist rhetoric is so useful. Why it's so important and how she uses it. And so don't fall into that, this is what I typically would do for a, normal kind of, anything I do is not normal. So I guess normal is the good word to use. But don't think of it as what you usually do in when you do some kind of a research project or a research report for a class. And don't let Edith scare you with her brilliance. Edith, of course, she's one of my favorite students, and she's super, super fabulously intelligent. But don't let that scare the rest of you guys, because I think I have mentioned, Edith does have a doctoral degree. She's done a dissertation, so she knows a whole lot more about this process than most of you guys. It sounds like Timothy's done some of this kind of work and in his history work, but then again, he's at the end of his program too. He's about ready to graduate. But the rest of you guys, don't feel like you've got to, have your conclusion be as in depth and as advanced as what you might be seeing some of these other folks with more experience do. You take what you have and you talk about it the best you know how, and just do what you know to do at this point, because like I said, only 5 weeks we've done yeoman's work. You might not know what a yeoman is, but we've done a whole heck of a lot of work. And so now we're here at the end. We're going to put together the conclusion. The conclusion should be I'm going to put it here. I pulled this up for you guys to see. This is where I do the the online journal, and you guys can actually put this on your CVs or your resumes. You know, is not really considered a peer-reviewed journal, but I mean, it is, you know, something that is, you know, published here on, you know, my own individual website here where I've got the online journal. So, let's see. Oh, images. I've talked about images to several of you, and since we are going to be publishing your conclusions, you know, make sure that you have clearly documented your image information. And I would think that the chapter we read on the fair use and the guy going to you know, or he didn't go to jail, but he got sued and all the things. Ferry, I think his name, the guy's name, the one who did the fake image photo. But what I find is just in general with just nearly everyone, we just don't understand, we don't think of images as being reference information the same way we would do a journal, say information we get from a journal, information we get from a book. And it's not even just the internet, because this has always been the case. That images are just thought of something else, you know. When I say images, I mean pictures, paintings, anything other than text, you know, that would count as an image. Now, whatever makes sense to you to use as reference, a reference style. You know, I said follow the one that Greece uses. I would think that would be the easiest. But what happened, what I saw early on is people were saying, you know, like just naming the image and then saying courtesy of Google or courtesy of Facebook or whatever, I don't know. And then maybe the URL. But, you know, courtesy of Greece, you know, got specific permission from all these, for all these images that she used because she's publishing a book. And, you know, a publisher, you know, they don't want to have legal you know, backlash or legal actions brought against them, so they have to have in writing anything, you know, if they're going to publish someone's work, then they have to, you know, have that documented. And so that's why Greece says, you know, courtesy of blah, 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 but she's got the, you know, signed paperwork and everything. But the other thing is Greece is still telling us the information about, you know, what she's showing us. You know, it's not, even if it's not necessarily right next to the image, she's talking about it. You guys are doing something for a class, and that falls under, you know, a little bit different rules. But really all you have to think about is you're going to document your images the same way you would a journal article or a book. You have to think about it the same way. But if you just say, oh, this is the image of fake news, and I'm just using that one, Ethan, because that's just what came to my mind. And here's the URL. That would be like sending somebody to the library and say, oh, I read a book about fake news, and here's the call number. Well, you know, I could take that to the library. I could look all that up. I could find it. But if you're documenting a journal article you've read or you're documenting a book you've read, you would never do that. You would never just throw out those two really little basic, you know, you'd give more info. And so what you have to do, and I pulled up a couple, I was looking at another, I was reading another document the other day. Some of you have heard me talk about one of my former students, Etta. She had an article published in an online book. It's really not even a book. It's more of an online type of resource. But anyway, I thought I'd show you a couple of these to kind of give you an idea of how to think about this. And I'm not saying do it exactly like this either, but you have to think about letting your readers know where your images came from and any information you have whatsoever about them. So here you can see figure 9. This person tells us this is a screenshot from the 911 memorial video. So this person actually took a screenshot of a video deploying both George Bush, blah, blah, blah. And then here in parentheses, Unfairly Treated DO5 911 Tribute. This is probably the name of the website where this image was found. Most of you guys, the images you've got, they're coming from a website. They're not just out there. You know, they're going to come from a website, and you went to that website, and that website's got some kind of a name. The section of the website maybe even has a name. You know, when we talk about books, you'll put in the, if you've got a book with several authors, you're going to put the name of each chapter, like whatever chapter. Let's see, it's a digital video, so you want to tell what it is. It came from the Internet Archive. NP either means no publisher or no place. And that's typical. You see that a lot. Sometimes you know the author, sometimes you don't. One thing you can do, I don't know if I can show you, but when you do find an image on the internet, you can open up the source info. Let me see if I can do that. So here's just, so if I pull one up, you can go up here and let's see, view the, what I have to do. Let me actually open this. Got to do this. Let's see. News. Should have planned this better. Let's see. You have to get to the actual image. Another one. Okay, here we go. So if I open this up, there is a way. Let's see. If you right click, okay, open image, new tab. Let's see if that will work. Okay, now history. No, that's my history. Oh, wait. Let's see. Copy image address. Let's see, inspect. Maybe it's inspect. Okay, here we go. See, sometimes you can get some information this way. See, there's elements, sources. Here we go. Sources. So, don't not look for the info on the images that you have. So there's one, and then here's another example. See, this came from the FEMA website, but it's the Katrina section. It was probably a story about Katrina. Digital image, Wikimedia Commons. The date, this would probably be the date it was published. And then when it was accessed, it's good for y'all to put when you accessed, because that can make a difference when, because one of the reasons you give this kind of info when you document, you want to give the information about who actually created the document, where it came from, the document or the image or whatever you're referencing. But, letting them know when you actually access the information. So you can see here a similar kind of thing. But anyway, when you put your images in, you're going to have your main image, whichever main image, but make sure you give all of that information. Uh, I haven't seen any questions about the conclusion yet, so I'm guessing maybe it makes sense. Hopefully it does, or maybe you guys are still just trying to figure it out. But make sure to keep asking those questions and posting those up there, and let me know. This is not meant to be, you know, super long. I'd say three to three pages or so. Of course, images may make it a little bit longer, but I'm thinking, a couple of 2 to 3 pages, single space of text. Because remember, you want to summarize for the readers. This is not put everything, all the information you have, just dumping it in there. People are going to be reading this stuff, and one of the things you're going to want to think about is, I'll share this with Dr. Moronis. He's going to be interested in what you guys found and what you think and what you're writing. And in your projects, make reference to his book too. I know I said you had to frame it within the Greece and the new materialist rhetoric, frameworks and all those, but refer to his book too. I mean, use that as it's useful, and you want to let that help you in your conclusion. But that's who you want to think about as your audience. Get it out of your head of what what does Dr. Garza want. I'm going to put it up here on the the 5 weeks of visual rhetoric online journal. People are going to be able to open this and read it. So you need to think about it in those terms. These are people, kind of as Edith said. She was talking to the people she was interviewing, and she was trying to get them to think about the images using the new materialist rhetoric concepts. And she was talking about how hard that was. The people who are going to read this, your audience, these people haven't taken the class, probably haven't read the books, may know very little. One of the things I remember Ethan saying in his last video was he felt like this information from the class would be helpful in terms of, when he talked to other people about the border and, helping them maybe understand it a little bit better. That's one of our main questions. What is the border? What is it all about? What do we not know? What are the, misconceptions, and what can we, shed light on or share about that, or help create understanding in that way. So anyway, I'll cut it off there, and keep asking questions, and let me know, how I can help you guys in any way. You're all doing fabulous work. So thanks for being such a great class, and I will be talking to you more.